Hello guys, in this video we are going to discuss the solution of the problem smallest window containing 0, 1 and 2. So let us look at the problem statement. So the problem statement says that we are given a string s. So this string s is given to us which consists of the characters 0, 1 and 2. So this consists of characters 0, 1 and 2. And our task is to find the length of the smallest substring of string s that contains all three characters 0, 1 and 2. So the smallest, so for instance in this particular case the smallest substring is this. So this is the smallest substring which contains all the characters which is 0, 1 and 2, and the length of this substring is 3, and that is why we are returning 3 here. Okay, in the next example if we see, there isn't exist any substring for which 0, 1 and 2 all three are present. That is why we are going to return -1 in this particular case. So that's about the problem statement, folks. Now let us look at the solution for this. So let me switch to this. So in order to solve this problem, so let us take a substring and let us say that substring contains strings such as 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 0, and let us say there is one more which is 1. So clearly if you see this particular substring, the smallest substring which is possible here is this, and this is the smallest substring. There are multiple substrings where the condition given in the question is met. So for instance this is also a substring where the condition is being met, right? This is another substring where the condition is getting met, and similarly this is also a substring where the conditions are getting met, but we need to find the smallest substring. So of all these three substrings, there could be other also which is possible here, but of these three substrings which we have seen, the smallest is this, right? So the smallest one is this, and we are going to return the length of this substring, and this particular case this is 3. So in order to solve this problem, what we are going to do is, let me just write down the indexes over here also, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So what we are going to do is, we will have an iterating counter I, and let us say we will set it to 0, and we will hold 3, we will need 3 variables, namely last position 0. So this essentially holds the index or the position when we have last seen 0. Okay, and I'll explain a bit more about it, and initially we are going to set it to -1. Similarly, the last position where I have seen 1 will be stored in this variable. For now it is -1, and the last position where we have seen 2 is something which is going to be stored here, and we are going to say -1. Initially it is -1. So when I is equals to 0, when I equals to 0, so at 0th index the value which is there is 0. So we have seen 0 and we are going to update it to the right value which is 0. Okay, similarly now we will increase our counter to 1. So now this becomes 1. Okay, at 1 again we have seen 0, and this time this 0 becomes 1. All right, so that's okay. Now let's move forward. Now this is 2. At second position we are seeing 1, so we are going to update it to this, right? Now 2, we are going to increase our counter to 3. Again this is 1, so we are going to do it as 3. Now we are at 4th position, and at 4th position we saw 2, so we are going to update this to 2. All right, so once we see that we have observed all these 3 values, so basically how we are going to say that we have observed all the 3 values? Well, we are going to say if it is not equals to -1, that simply means that I have seen the values and that position is something which is stored in this value. So now I have observed all the three characters in my substring, and now I'm going to compute the length of the substring, right? So a possible substring has been obtained so far, and we are going to compute the length of the substring. How we are going to compute the length of the substring? Well, the length of the substring can be given by the equation I minus minimum of these three values. So I'm just going to call it LPZ, which is last position 0, LPO, which is last position 1, and LPT, which is last position 2 plus 1. Okay, so in this particular case, the length will be what? I is 4, right? And the minimum of the three values, let us look at the three values, which is 1, 3, and 4. And then this is plus 1. So this is basically 4 minus 1 plus 1, which is equals to 4, right? So the length in this particular case is, length is 4. And then we will have something known as minimum length, and minimum length, let us say we will initially set it to positive infinity, and now since 4 is less than positive infinity, so we are going to make it as 4. So for till this position, till I is equals to 4, we have seen a substring whose length is 4. All right, now let us move forward. After 4, we have again seen 2. So we are going to, so now we are at 5th position, and we have seen 2. So we are going to update it to to 5 here. Now again, let us compute. Now again, we have observed a substring, or we have encountered a substring where all the characters have been seen. So now we are going to find out the length of that. Again, the length will be given by the equation I. So I is 5 minus minimum of what? And the minimum values are what? 1, 3, and 5. Okay, so let's just call it 1, 3, and 5 plus 1, right? So this is equals to 5 minus 1 plus 1, and this is equals to 5, right? And since 5 is greater than 4, so the minimum length will be 5. The minimum length will be 4 here. Okay, now let's move forward. So now we are at index 6. Okay, at index 6, let me just scroll a bit up. At index 6, we have observed 0. Okay, so now since we have observed 0, so we are going to change this to 6. And now again, we have observed a substring where all the three conditions or all three characters are met. So now again, we are going to compute length. So here again, the length will be, okay, let me just write it down. So the length will be I is 6 minus minimum of what? Let me just see, 3, 6, 3, 5, and 6, right? 3, 5, and 6 plus 1. Okay, so this is basically 6 minus 3 plus 1, and this is nothing but 4. So again, minimum length will be 4 here. Okay, now let's move forward. Now we are at index 7. We are at index 7, and at index 7 we have observed 1 over here, so we are going to update 1 to 7. Now again, the all the three characters have been seen so far, so now we are going to compute the length of it. So the length will be equals to I is 7 minus minimum of what? 5, 6, and 7, right? 5, 6, and 7. So 5, 6, and 7 plus 1. So this is basically 7 minus 5 plus 1. This is equals to 3. And now since 3 is less than minimum length, which is 4, so we are going to update it to 3, right? And this is what we are going to return. In this particular case, this is what we are going to return. All right. So that's about the explanation, folks. Now let us jump to the coding section and code it out. Let me just switch to the coding plane here. Okay, so I've already coded it, guys. Now let us look at the code for it. So like I said, we will have these three variables, and initially these values will be -1, and this is an iterating counter. and this is the answer or the minimum length which we have used, and initially we are setting it to a positive infinity. Okay, now we are iterating on it, and while iterating we are setting the last position where we have seen 0, 1 or 2. Okay, so this is there. Now once we have seen, so once we see that we have observed all these three characters, so a possible substring is there. We know that we have obtained a possible substring, and we are going to compute the length of that particular substring. So the length is basically I minus minimum of these three. So this is basically computing the minimum of the three values. Okay, so this is minimum and then plus 1, and the answer will be minimum of answer and length. Okay, now here there is a bit of optimization I have done over here. So the minimum length substring which is possible is 3, right? And if we have already encountered 3, then we don't really have to move forward or move forward in order to compute the length. We can just return 3. Okay, so if the minimum length, we know that 3 is the minimum length which is possible here. Minimum length substring which is possible is 3 here. So that is why if 3 has already been encountered, then we are going to return 3. Okay, so that's about this. And now if you see, if so this is just to cover the last condition, which is this. Basically, let us say if there isn't exist any substring, right, which satisfy your condition. So in that particular condition, we are going to return -1, and this is being guarded by this answer. If the answer is not getting updated, then we have to return -1. Okay, so that's about the coding part, guys. Let us now submit our solution. So our solution got accepted. So that's about this video, folks. If you have any question or comment regarding this video, please feel free to use the comment section and I'll try to address them. Thank you.